I really can't.
Sometimes people blame it on witchcraft, and we have no other recourse than to say,
really
yes,
none.
you know what, we can't argue.
That is the only
Either you guys were
explanation.
drugged
Yeah.
or something like that. Because why was she sweating?
What
happened?
She was panicking because now we've gotten to town and she hasn't gotten the money that she needed.
That's
which is what you
intense.
realize 5 months later.
Anyway, it seems like today we're just going to be talking about scammers and people who are hoodwinking you and taking your hard-earned money, because Njugush is also going through it. Njugush. So last night he is leaving an event at around 12 a.m. and let me just recount the story, and it just made me remember the same question his friend was asking. Abel is constantly asking, kwani ulikuja town last week, like last week but one. Kwani uji town? Kwani ulikuja Nairobi last week by one? Because how are you being hoodwinked? How are you being cheated out, or how are you being robbed by such a common method?
Yeah.
Because we've heard about these stories. We've heard how people are going to stop you on the highway and do something nasty. We've heard, especially on bypass, you'll see a woman looking distressed and you'll stop to help her because your Father Jesus, and then her accomplices are waiting in the bushes and then they're going to jump on you and rob you. We have heard of these things, but I'm also realizing that yes, you're going to hear these stories, but until you're in that situation, you're bound to not act differently. You're bound to fall for the same act. And maybe these people are very convincing, because he says at around 12 a.m. he is driving along University Way and he sees a middle-aged woman limping. So he slows down and she smells like alcohol. Fast forward, she says, you know what, things are tough. I don't usually beg, but things have beaten each other and I need money for my children, blah, 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 blah. And she goes on to say, even if you don't believe me, if you think I'm acting, you can open the door and verify that I am actually injured. So Njugush, being who he is, decides, okay, I'm going to open. And to convince him further, she said, I don't want money. I just want you to give me the food you probably have in the car. So Njugush opens the car and goes to verify that she is indeed injured. Kumbe, kuna mtu side ingine ya co-driver. So a person, gets into the co-driver area, gets in, sits down, and has a knife on him. And they go on and take his phone and say tupatie pin and everything. And then the funny part is, apparently he had a very, small amount, because he said the co-driver got in and said, kumbe ni Njugush, leo tutacheka. It's one thing to rob me, but why are you humiliating me? Why are you laughing at me? And they go on to make jokes about, and be nasty about the amount of money he has on his mobile money. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, you're robbing me. How dare you judge me for not having the amount of money you think I have?
I mean, it's
the
like
audacity.
Prepared to be robbed,
New president, new audacity. Like, it's a lot. It's like it's being handed out in those government offices. So they just decide, you know what, we're going to make fun of you. We're also going to give you a very good slap because, Njugush was also quick to make a quip about how he doesn't have money, but he has costumes in the car that they can take instead. They gave him a good one. And then, as they were leaving, as the two guys alighted, as the lady was alighting, she had, his phone in her hand, and he decided to grab it, and it fell on his seat, so he just drove straight to the police station. Again, kwani ulikuja Nairobi last week but one? Because why? Why are we being scammed like this? But also, we should also be thinking, maybe we shouldn't be blaming the robbers. Let's blame another person. Government. Because who else do you blame? Who else do you blame when things are happening like this? You think as a celebrity, I'm safe because, the circles I walk in, the people I associate with, I'm never going to be robbed. Until you go to a concert and you're robbed on your way to your cab. Until you go somewhere at night and you're alone and you're taken advantage of. It is so unfortunate. And you know what? My sympathy is Njugush, but also he made fun and light of the situation. He wasn't injured, and that's all we're counting for. He's a new dad. He has a newborn baby. Akona tugi bado. Mm-hmm. But anyway, he's a new dad 2.0. So we're just glad that he's healthy, he's safe, and everything is okay. Apart from that, it was a very funny encounter. Have you ever been robbed and then you just left laughing? Has that happened to you? You can tell us on the number 0770-729-366. Our social media is Ebru TV Kenya on Instagram and Twitter, and Ebru TV KE on Facebook.
Now, every time people speak about these situations of being conned, being robbed, and all of this, I always go back to myself, because even when I think about my situation, I feel like it was greed that motivated me into believing this person. That accompanied with all of these thoughts of how much success you would make in a short span of time and how your life could change in a short span of time. And this seems to be a trending story when it comes to people who've been conned or scammed or end up losing a lot of money. Either you trust someone too much, or a little bit of greed is invoked inside you, and you feel like, by the way, if I do this, then I can do this, and then I can make money, and then I can change my life, and then all of these thoughts of success suddenly, and without having to work so hard, make you feel like, okay, I can do this. I can make this small sacrifice. When someone tells you that I will give you 5 million shillings if you give me 500 shillings, in your mind, you're like, okay, fine. 5 million minus 500 shillings is equals 2. You're like, it's okay.
Listen, I have been in that situation.
Yeah.
At this mall behind here. If you know where we work, this mall behind here. So that day, I'm looking very nice, okay? I had just been paid my salary. I had new clothes. I was looking very, very scrumptious, you know, walking around looking rich. So this guy approaches me. At first, I'm thinking, he's just hitting on me, whatever, whatever. We strike up a conversation. It's an interesting conversation. I get to know he's a Nigerian. Don't make assumptions. Don't make assumptions. Fast forward, he tells me he's into a certain line of business, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm like, that is not real. He tells me he is making actual money. Like, he can make money in this instant. So I'm like, you know what? Prove it to me. He takes me to his car boot, and I was so gullible because I followed this stranger, this Nigerian stranger, into a basement parking. So when you hear somebody got kidnapped, and you're thinking, why were you so stupid? It was me. It was I.
Stupid.
Imagine, I followed this stranger who had promised me that he could make instant money, and we went to him to this small basement, and he showed me everything he was doing, blah, 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 blah. He's like, you know what, let's leave it here for a few minutes. Let's go grab coffee and then come back. Anyway, I had to go to work, so thank God I got saved that way. But if I was idle, tungeenda tukunywe kahawa, alafu turudi to check on this money as it is being, you know.
I'm telling you, wash. Anyway.